Hi, my name is Matt. Welcome to Unbearable 73. Now it's time to raise the volume and do some headbanging because I'm going to recommend 10 hard rock heavy metal songs inspired by fantasy novels. Let's be upfront about this list. I could probably do multiple videos talking about Blind Guardian and their fantasy-inspired songs. And it's not taking into account their songs inspired by sci-fi, mythology, horror, or anything else. Same thing we go for Hawkwind or The Sword or several other bands on this list. So let's get right into it. First up, we'll go with a song by Blind Guardian. Blind Guardian is a German power metal band who occasionally branches out to folk, speed, thrash, epic, and prog metal. They formed in 1984 and are considered one of the seminal power and speed metal bands. But which song? They have 20 songs based on Tolkien alone, and they're all very good or better. But it comes down to their masterpiece of devotion to Tolkien's works, Nightfall in Middle-earth. Nightfall in Middle-earth was released on April 28, 1998, 24 years ago to the day that I'm filming this, or recording this. It's based on the Silmarillion and particularly focused on the conflict between Morgoth and the Noldor elves over the Silmarils. The song I'm choosing as representative is the great Mirror Mirror. Mirror Mirror is about Turgon following the visions of warning given to him by the Vala Ulmo that led to the construction of the hidden city of Gondolin as a safe haven for his people. The story of Turgon, who despite the vow of Fëanor and darkness that even the Noldor, who never took that vow, participated in, his story is one of the brightest in the Silmarillion. Turgon, again, despite the Noldor turning away from the Valar, was still given visions by Ulmo, one of the Valar, and followed them to create a protected sanctuary that stood for centuries. Again, I'm going to play some short clips in the hopes of not getting the video taken down, just demonetized or whatever. But down below, I will link to full-length videos of all these songs, almost always live songs if I could find good versions of it. Every band here they're great in the studio, but even better live. Next, we're going to go with a song from Blue Oyster Cult. Another one of my favorite bands. I discovered Michael Moorcock, one of my favorite authors, through them. I was listening to their 1980 album Cultosaurus Erectus and was reading anything that I could get in any magazine, because way back then the internet was just like a private government thing. Because I wanted to find out all the songs that are on the album, what they meant, who had written them, and all that. And the first track on the album, Black Blade, was about the Black Blade of the Eternal Champion cycle, written by Michael Moorcock, particularly Stormbringer, and the song The Sword of Elric of Melniboné. So who is the Blue Oyster Cult? They're a hard rock band that also delves into psychedelic funk and heavy metal. Very Black Sabbath-like, even though they're about the same age, maybe slightly old, I think. Blue Oyster Cult is 1 or 2 years older than Sabbath. But often their music is faster paced. They formed in 1967 in New York. I chose their song Veteran of the Psychic Wars off of Fire of Honor and Origins for 7 reasons. First, it's a damn great song. Second, the song better captures the mental state and essence of the Eternal Champion than Black Blade does. Third, it's a great song. Not that there are any non-great songs on this list. Fourth, I think this song, of the 2 of them songs I could have chose for this, encapsulates all the capabilities and the range of Blue Oyster Cult in one song. And they may inspire you to listen to pretty much everything else they have done. Finally, another reason I chose the song, you might recognize if you've ever seen the animated film Heavy Metal from back in 1980. They had written songs to be on there, but those other songs weren't chosen. Instead, they chose this song to be on there. Okay. Now, also, it's very difficult to pick a segment of that song to convey it. It's a very complex song, a lot in it, but that's pretty much characteristic of the Blue Oyster Cult. So I'm just going to play the clip. Not that clip. Huh? This clip.
My armor is destroyed. I have used up all my weapons, and I'm helpless and bereaved. Wounds are all I'm made of. Did I you say that this is victory? Don't let these shakes go on. It's time we had a break from it.
For my next choice, you'll probably think I'm cheating a bit when you hear the singer's voice. Singer is Hansi Kirsch from Blind Guardian, but this is his one-time side project, Demons and Wizards. Demons and Wizards is a super band formed by Kirsch and John Schaefer of Ice Earth, who you'll hear from later. They formed in 1999 and have seemingly disbanded as of 2021 for reasons beyond the scope of this video. Their music is a combination of Ice Earth's dark, brooding melodic metal and Blind Guardian's power metal. I chose the Gunslinger off their album Touched by the Crimson King. This singer is based on the novel The Gunslinger by Stephen King.
By Amon.
Now it's time for some Sabaton. Sabaton is a Swedish power metal band formed in 1999. Almost all of their music is based on history and the history of war, but they do branch out in other areas once in a while, like my selection. Off their third studio album, Metallizer, however you want to say it, was the song Shadows, which is about the Nazgul, the Shadows of Mordor. This song, I mean, all this music is great, but there's such power in it. You want to just rock to that stuff. So, what's up next? Now I want to go a little bit darker. You heard me mention this band before. It's Ice Earth. Ice Earth has been called the American Iron Maiden, although the American Blind Guardian might be a touch more fitting because of the themes of their music. John Schaefer is the core of that band. They've had a couple of other legends that performed, but Schaefer is the one who been the constant, who've written most of the music and so forth. This track is called Dante's Inferno. It's based on Dante Alighieri's Divine Comedy, which was written centuries ago, and it's off the album Burnt Offerings, the title of which reflects frustration with the recording industry, not actually anything mythological or literary. You know? It's a long song, incredible range. Again, I'm doing short clips to give you guys an idea what the song sounds like, and down below in the text will be short hyperlinks to all this music. Now we're going to go with something classic from one of the foundational bands of heavy metal, Black Sabbath.
Misty morning, clouds in the sky, without warning, a wizard walks by.
Very short segment of that one. That's Black Sabbath formed in 1968. One constant in Black Sabbath music, which you would have heard there, especially earlier, the strong blues element, which sometimes they call black metal a little sludge metal-y. So this song was influenced or inspired by Gandalf and Lord of the Rings, depending on which Sabbath member you talk to. It's one of my 3 or 4 favorite Black Sabbath songs. It has a great harmonica in it, by the way. If you didn't think harmonica is heavy metal, you need to listen to that whole song. Now we're going to speed up again. It's time for some Anthrax. Formed in 1981, Anthrax was one of the big 4 of thrash metal, along with Metallica, Megadeth, and Slayer. They have, however, branched out into several other areas of metal as well, as like most of the big 4 have, except for Slayer. They've been privileged to have 2 of the greatest metal vocalists of all time, Joe Belladonna and John Bush, as their lead vocalists. One interesting note, however, Anthrax had a little more humor in a lot of their songs than most other thrash metal types do. Song I chose is the title track off of the album Among the Living, which was released in 1987, and it's again called Among the Living. It's based on Stephen King's The Stand. Now we're going to have a rapid tonal shift. The next band is similar to Blue Oyster Cult. having played much of the same broad range of hard rock, metal, and psychedelic songs. Also collaborated with Michael Moorcock. Again, that's where you're going to get this song from. Although much more extensively, Moorcock has co-written and even performed with this band. And although, like what was it called, Eric Clapton performed with this band. Another person who was in the band for several years was Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead. Right? He was a bass player for a while. But the most important thing, again, for the video music is that Michael Moorcock was a longtime contributor, and the song is called Mooonglum. Mooonglum is the companion, best friend, brother in spirit of Elric of Melniboné, the protagonist of the Elric Chronicles. The song is very melancholy, and it fits the character of Mooonglum. I mean, I'm spoiling this to say this, but Mooonglum dies at some point in the Elric saga, and he and Elric are deep brothers. It's like Sam and Dean on Supernatural, that type of relationship, or Bo and Luke Duke, you know. And Mooonglum has to make a very difficult choice because everyone's going to die, and he basically chose the death for love of his brother and friend, as opposed to just the random death of everyone else. And when we saw it happening in the novel, those who read it, it was very sad, very. I mean, what other option was there? But, you know. Now that clip might have sounded a little fuzzier. I don't have that album clean. I should have it, but apparently I didn't rip it into my MP3 collection. You know, I guess I just bought it years ago and thought I had it or whatever. But so I got it off. I got it off of a video so you guys can hear a segment of it. You know. So now we're going to go on to something a little heavier. We're almost done with the list. The next song, the next band is The Sword, not to be confused with another metal band called Sword. The Sword, formed in 2003 from Texas. They kind of remind me of Black Sabbath, but less sludgy, with a slightly faster. In terms of the singing and the sound, a little more towards the speed and a little less towards the sludge, if you want to think of it that way. You know, their music is broadly based in science fiction and fantasy. Like almost like at least half their songs, if you read through the list, are going to be referencing something like that. This song is off the album Gods of the Earth from 2008. This particular song was based on the Night's Watch from George R. R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire, and it's called To Take the Black. And how do I finish this list off? It was a 10 songs to listen to. Well, there are a lot of different ways I can go with this. I mean, I was trying to have 10 different artists, even if some of the songs were about some of the same novels. And finish off one of the greats, Iron Maiden. Their 7th studio album, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, had a title track, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, and another track called The Prophecy, based on Orson Scott Card's Tales of Alvin Maker, which is a fantasy series. By the way, in general, if you're reading Orson Scott Card, the first book in any series he ever writes is usually great, and then the quality sort of declines after that. Not the quality of writing, but the story gets less interesting. So again, this is also one of Iron Maiden's greatest songs, one of my top 10 favorites. Interesting note about Iron Maiden, the lead singer Bruce Dickinson, he's always wanted to do an album version of Lord of the Rings, but has never actually written any songs based on it. Every time another album comes out, whether it's a solo album or a Maiden album, he gets annoyed. He'll find it. I wish I could have put a Lord of the Rings song on there. Yeah. And so we'll finish off the music with this one. granted, this is off my 20-something-year-old CD, but even live in the 60s now, Bruce Dickinson sounds almost as good as he did when he was 25 live. So the guy's one of those amazing voices, like right in that tier below Pavarotti as far as the all-time great male vocals. So there you got it, have it. 10 songs based on fantasy books or settings. By the way, this video is dedicated to Jaden Hamilton, who was asking for music like this a few weeks ago in one of the chats. To be honest, most, if not all, of these bands could have entire multi-part video series talking about all the music based on fantasy, science fiction, horror they've created. Now, if you're wondering why I didn't do any Lovecraft songs, I consider H.P. Lovecraft to be a science fiction horror author, so he'll be on my Actually, I probably should do just a love song inspired by Lovecraft. Yeah, I will do it. Anyway, comment down below if you have any questions for me or about this video, or maybe you want to request some other music style, like other songs from horror or whatever. You know, you can do that down below. Share this video if you enjoyed it. Like if you like. Dislike if you dislike. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me. My name is Matt. This has been on Real 73. Have a nice day, and I am out of here.